Want a fresh way to build routes in Roadcraft without laying endless sand and paving every inch? Well, in this video, I'll show you how I built a multi-bridge hub and how it can save you time, and maybe even give you a few creative ideas for your own builds. This tutorial walks you through how I built a three-way bridge setup, step by step. It's not the only way to do it, it's just a fun, creative approach that worked for me and might inspire you to try something different. Instead of building full roads from sand and asphalt, this method uses bridges as shortcuts, supported by just a few concrete slabs. It can be a faster, cleaner way to get connected, especially when quarries are far and terrain is messy. I started by scouting a partially flooded section of the sunken map. The area was filled with destroyed houses and immovable debris. And to make matters worse, it wasn't within a quarry zone. That meant hauling sand from afar if I wanted to build a standard road. Definitely not ideal for laying a traditional route. And that's what made this the perfect spot to try something different. When I tried to place a bridge directly, it just snapped flat to the ground and objects poked through it, which I knew would cause problems when driving. Since I wanted to build a three-way bridge, I laid out rough blueprints for each bridge and marked where I wanted each to end. This gave me a reference for how much of the area I needed to fill and elevate with sand. I dropped map markers at each endpoint to help me visualize distance and elevation targets for the sand piles. Then I jumped into my dump truck and started dropping sand between each of the reference markers. Here's a tip: if you're near a garage, just respawn the dump truck to refill it instantly. That saved me a lot of trips. I kept dumping sand until I had enough height to support a raised bridge end. Again, this isn't a full road, just a small elevated pad for each bridge to connect to. Once I had the height, I brought in the dozer, and here's something important. I drove on top of the sand pile before flattening. If you start flattening from the bottom, you'll destroy the height you just built. So instead, I use a technique where I switch between marching mode and sand flattening mode while staying in place. Almost like blade rocking. Flatten the area gently in a radius. Once the top was stable, I slowly flattened outward toward my markers. At this point, I laid the bridge blueprints again to check spacing and alignment. I inspected whether the bridge ends connected cleanly to the sand pads. No weird gaps or sunken connections. My tip here: visually test it using a vehicle. Drive around blueprints to check for clean connections and bridge clearance. If something felt too steep or off, I added a bit more sand and adjusted. Once I was happy with the layout, I built all three bridges. Now I had a central hub with three directions, all connected without laying a single full road. To make the hub smoother, I used the dozer to flatten between each bridge ramp. I found the best method was going from one bridge to another in single passes. Unfortunately, Roadcraft flattening doesn't love switching directions too much. If the dozer got stuck at a ramp, I just respawned it. Trying to wiggle it free usually made things worse. I also handled high spots by aligning the blade where the high spot begins, then dropping to flattening mode and inching forward to level it. With the shape of the intersection locked in, I brought in the asphalt paver. I started from each bridge end and worked my way in, spot paving areas as needed. Once that was done, I used the roller to seal everything up. I did notice some of the bricks underneath glitching through the asphalt, but it still drives fine, and honestly, it adds some character to the build. And that's it guys, you'd be surprised how much quicker this method is compared to building a full road, especially when a quarry isn't conveniently located in the zone. Hopefully it gave you a new idea for how to build in creative or tricky spots. You can take this concept and adapt it however you like, whether it's one bridge or 5. It's a fun way to change up your builds. If this video helped or inspired you, give it a like, subscribe, and drop a comment showing off your most creative bridge layout. I'd love to see what you come up with. Cheers.